Welcome, everyone. We're going to continue with our second portion of today's webinar. This is day 2. Okay, and I want to begin by asking you a question. How many of you here desire peace in your life? How many desire peace? I don't see a hand down. Every hand is up. Every human being wants peace in our life. Okay, now I really want you to think about this one before you answer. Do you think our societal trend today is towards peace, or do you think it's away from peace? Where do you think our societal trend is today? We in a more peaceful direction or a not so peaceful direction?
I don't think it's going peaceful because I don't see any changes, any real changes. And if nothing changes, nothing's going to change. So if we're doing the same thing we did yesterday, and we didn't have peace yesterday, then we're not going to have it today or tomorrow.
Okay, so she says no, she doesn't think we're headed towards peace. It's kind of the same pattern. And in my eyes, it's even kind of declining. We have bigger issues going on today. How about you?
I have a lot of friends who deal with children, psychologically. They're counselors of children, or have PhDs and work with children. And they have noticed a huge uprise of just mental unrest and chaos and just unruliness and some serious problems going on that they really don't know what to do about. So I would think that if the children don't know peace, I can't see how our future could be peaceful.
Excellent. That was a great point, because we see how there are issues with our children. Not only do we have more bullying going on, but we also have more suicides. The teachers themselves are even afraid to go into the classroom, so much so they have to put policemen in the classrooms. So yes, I think we all agree that our society has not gone in a trend towards more peace, even among nations. What would a nation ask their leader of how to bring more peace to their nation? What might they say? They might say, well, we need to have more security through weapons. Something like that. That's how they're looking for it. But the peaceful solution was founded on the concept of character education. We need to bring back those moral character training programs so that we can bring more peace to society. Do you agree that's what we should do? Let's clap for that. Okay, so that's what we're here today to talk about. And I know our teacher before, she gave an excellent class on how to cultivate in your minds the concept of ownership in relation to moral character. She did a great job, didn't she? Excellent. Let's clap for her too, because she did a nice job. Now we're going to continue. You're going to think, okay, why is she teaching out of a grade 5 peaceful solution book? The topic that I'm going to be teaching about has to do with the concept that we teach in the younger years. We lay that foundation. Okay? And then as teachers, we're going to teach it to our students. As parents, we're going to teach it to our children. As employers, we can teach it to our employees. And this is the reason why we're using this book at this time. Now, I'm going to teach out of Unit 3, which is on the importance of asking. Okay? And I'm going to cover procedures 1 through 4, 6 through 9, and 10. But before we do, I want to show you a few belongings, because she talks so much about belongings. Now here's something, raise your hand if you own one of these. Very simple stapler. Let me take it out of its box. Okay, my nice stapler here. This stapler was in a classroom for one of our teachers, and one of the students decided to go and pick up the stapler. It was sitting on the desk, and the student picked it up, and we thought, okay, well, maybe she's going to staple something with it. And then she proceeded to open it up, like, oh, maybe I'm putting staples inside. And then she grabbed the little spring. There's not much left of this now. And she proceeded to pull the string. I have to hold it now. The little spring here, back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Does that look like it'll work anymore? No. So as we talk about our concept of asking, you can think, oh, that would have made a big impact, wouldn't it? Okay, I have another item. How many of you in here like to sew? Sewing is one of my hobbies. Nice fabric here. Do you like that? Isn't that pretty? We all have nice quality fabric that we like. And in our school, we also teach what's called home economics. And we teach our girls how to appreciate fabric and how to work with fabric. And then their first project is to make baby doll clothes. Do you think a girl would like to make baby doll clothes? Isn't that nice?
Very.
So we had our fabric room, and one of the girls went into the fabric room, and she found this lovely fabric right here. Isn't that nice? And then she proceeded to lay it out on the table and cut out her baby doll pattern. And this is the result. See if I can get it all right. Oh, boy. Here we go. I see some shocked faces. Now, does that look like that person maybe got some instruction? Forgot the basic concept of asking. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is the importance of asking. So before I begin in the lesson, I want to read you the teacher's note, because every section that begins a new concept in the Peaceful Solution has a note to the teacher. In this unit, the importance of asking, students will learn that asking shows respect for others and their belongings. They will learn that asking plays an important part in their daily lives. It means a means by which we interact with others, or a means to obtain information, knowledge, and to make a choice. Students will learn that being alert and asking the right questions can keep them safe, and that'll help them make right choices and prevent conflicts. Additionally, they will learn that answering truthfully when asked a question shows that they are honest and helps them gain the trust of others. Now we're going to help our students, encouraging them to practice asking. How is the best way to encourage a student to practice asking? Here, right in front.
By modeling it yourself.
Excellent. I can tell she's used to working with children, maybe, because it is by modeling it ourselves. If we expect a behavior from our children, we ourselves must learn to do it first. And that is a very important concept in the Peaceful Solution Character Education Program. And there's a lovely quote at the bottom. It says, "It's time to undo what has been done to the hearts and minds of this generation. It's time to turn the hearts and minds to true peace." And that's why the Peaceful Solution Character Education Program was founded. So we're going to jump right in, and I like quizzes. So we're going to start with a quiz. Okay, you had your class right before this one. So thinking caps on. What are the basic rights of ownership? Who can explain the basic rights of ownership? She covered it so well. Who can remember? Yes.
Something or an item or whatever it is that you acquired because you worked for it, or you inherited it, or I think that probably covers it.
Okay, so she talks about something that belongs to you, and then the ways in which you obtain it. What were you going to add to that?
Okay, I'd like to add that one of the rights is to say yes or no if someone wants to borrow it.
Excellent.
And to set rules as to how it can be used.
That's right. So yes, I have the right as an owner to say yes or no, you may borrow it, and then I can even set rules. That's great. Now let's talk about some of the honest ways we can obtain our belongings. Quiz number 2. She gave some of them right there. What else back here?
You can buy them.
You can buy them. Excellent. What's another way? Honest.
A gift.
A gift. Okay, over here.
Inheritance.
Inheritance. Yes, excellent. Those are great. And then she brought up one other point I thought was a really nice touch. Does anybody remember it? A reward. You can earn a reward for great behavior. That's a great modifier for children and their behavior. Okay, now this one. What does a moral attitude have to do with the belongings of others? How can we apply a moral attitude to someone's belonging?
Because you can have the positive character trait of respect.
Excellent.
When you're dealing with someone's possession, and you can show respect for it, not damage it,
right.
and care for it.
Excellent. So she's saying show that respect. What else?
Also responsibility. You would want to be responsible to return it to, if you're using it, to return it to the owner.
That's right. So responsibility, so that you return it back to the owner in the same condition, preferably like it came to you.
You also want to be kind, because whatever example you set for them, if they was to come and borrow something from you at a later date, that's how they will also treat it.
That's right. So you want them to want to let you borrow other things again, and maybe, you borrow theirs.
Also, practice moral traits of acceptance as well, because sometimes, I think we as society, we have the concept of, if I ask you to borrow something, we already make up our mind, well, yes, they would reply yes, and we don't make room for really accepting. So what if the person say no, I feel that from the people solution, no, it's okay.
That's right. Excellent point. And it is a matter of accepting the answer given.
Also, honesty, because we have to honestly obtain the belongings.
Excellent. And that is so true, because if we don't obtain it honestly, then what are we doing? Stealing. And there's a lot of that in society today. Yes.
Also self-control, because if you tell me I can only use it for an allotted time, I have to use self-control to be able to maintain that and give it back to you.
Excellent. So even self-control. So all of those character traits are woven into that concept of ownership. Now we're just taking it one step further with the concept of asking before touching those belongings. And that, again, builds a positive moral character. So let's talk about reasons for asking. Why do we need to ask? What are some reasons for asking?
Well, you would need to ask because maybe I was going to use it at the same time that you wanted to use the phone.
Right. Okay. So you want to ask in order to find out if that's an okay time?
Maybe it's something very special that someone doesn't want anyone else to borrow, and so it's real personal for them.
There you go. So you're looking for, what do we call that when we're looking for something like that? We're asking
Permission.
Permission. Nice. We're looking for permission to use that item.
It may already be borrowed from somebody else, and they don't have the authority to pass it and let somebody else use it.
That's right. So it may have gone into somebody else's hand, and they're not going to give you that permission. What are some other reasons for asking besides seeking permission? What's another one?
I might need instruction on how to cut that fabric.
There you go. She's thinking ahead. Instruction on how to do something, how to lay that beautiful fabric out, how to put your pattern on it. Did I see a hand over here? Was it yours? Okay. Respect again. Right. And I saw a hand here.
Asking gives the owner permission to make choices about what he or she owns.
That's right. And so we can ask for knowledge about information.
What about safety?
Safety. Excellent.
To avoid conflict.
And to avoid conflict. Yes, that's very, very important. Anybody else have another idea? No? Okay, so let's see how you did. I think you've covered them all. So we know that the reasons we ask are for our needs. Sometimes we have a special need that we have for permission, for guidance and instruction, and just to obtain information. I'm sure every one of you today has already asked a question. Every one of us ask every day. We take it for granted. We don't even think much about it. And then here you are in the importance of asking, that it shows that respect. And it goes into those rights of ownership and how to accept the answer given. And it avoids that conflict. Because we know, how many of you have ever seen someone argue about whether they had permission to use something or not? It's a big deal with children especially.
Oh, I've seen it.
Yes? Did I see your hand up? Yes. Okay, great. So now we're going to know that asking plays an important part in our daily lives. Asking allows us to respect others and their possessions as well as to obtain information that we need. We seek permission, we show the respect to others and their possessions, and this is one way to interact peacefully with one another. And that's what the whole purpose of the Peaceful Solution is all about, is to bring back peace. Because we all agreed at the beginning of class we want peace in our lives. And we want our children to grow up in a peaceful environment. We owe them that much. Society owes every individual the opportunity to live in a peaceful world. And that's where the Peaceful Solution can help with that. Okay, so let's move right along here and let's talk about, I want to do a quick activity with you. We've got one group here. We'll give you, let's see, 1, 2, 3. We'll do just 3. Okay, I'm going to give you this one right here. So what I want you all to do is brainstorm as a group, what are some consequences of not asking permission? And I want you to focus on a societal level. Bring it big. We know children can have conflict and all these other things, but let's take it to society as a whole. Because we want to help ourselves, but we want to help society as a whole too. Here's one for you. And, whoop, I gave you the wrong one. There you go. And then we'll give you all this one over here so you can work as a group. So I'll give you a few minutes here to work on this.
off of private property because it's a big conflict. And that's the kind of thing that eminent domain does. You sell it to people, we're going to take it.
I would say even the
it's like, let's say somebody wants to bring a factory to bring jobs to the neighborhood, to the city, and you live where the factory is. Then they say, you have to sell us your property. I mean, and if you say no, then they say, forget it. You take what is going to be left.
Okay, are we ready? You ready over here? Yes, you got a spokesperson. Pick a spokesperson. Everybody ready here? You've got a spokesperson picked out. You've got your spokesperson picked out?
Yeah.
Okay, so who has number 1 on the back of their card?
Please.
Who has number 1 on the back of their card? I bet you have number 1.
we didn't ask who would be the spokesperson.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, I know you'll find a peaceful solution to it. All right, come on up. Let's give them a hand. Come on up.
Our group have what are some consequences of not asking on a societal level? We have traffic accidents. Not asking which way to go. Sometimes people tend to ignore the signs, and that's why the government have signs up, to follow them. One way, turn right. It's important to follow these signs. Loss of money. We see, when people shoplift and stuff, instead of trying to be productive and ask for a job and to earn the money to buy whatever they want, they prefer to shoplift. And all of us pay for the high food and everything like that. We have pollution due to no guidance and stuff, dumping waste wherever you want to dump it. Human trafficking and
abductions, yes.
Thank you very
Great
much.
job. Let's clap for her. That was so nice. So yes, those were all very valid consequences that have an effect on society as a whole. So who has number 2? Let's go with that one. Number 2 over here.
Okay. We have crimes, of course, such as stealing, kidnapping. There's rape. There's raising taxes because so much things are being stolen. Just for one example, the library, where you have so many books being taken out and they increase the security system, and then that's the taxpayers pay for that. You have huge companies like Enron several years ago that went down because people were stealing, and people had loss of income, they had a loss of retirement. Of course, ultimately, there's also war. War comes as a result of not asking.
Excellent. Great job. Let's clap for them. And you can see how it isn't just the individual, their family, but it affects the whole community, and a lot of that comes out of taxpayer dollars. We can see where the little gadgets to keep something from being stolen in the stores, they have to remove those things. Different areas where stealing and the consequences of not asking first, because a thief is not going to go up and say, "Excuse me, ma'am, may I rob your house tonight at 10:30. Make sure all your lights are off. Leave the back door open," right? They don't do that, do they? Okay, let's have our last group come up.
We have the same question, and we spoke a lot about eminent domain, which is where a company or a government may decide they need your property to put in a baseball stadium or a factory or an expressway. So if they ask you to sell your property and you choose not to, you get evicted and you take whatever they want to give you. So then your right as an owner has been violated. You may have wanted to pass this down to your children or something, and all of that is taken away from you. And if you think about a baseball stadium, your property's taken, but you still, if you wanted to go there, you still have to pay to go in. And we also mentioned, someone else mentioned human trafficking and how these people's right to say no is taken away from them. The right to their future, if it's children, the right to their childhood. And it affects society because what's going to be left of them to contribute to society when these things have been done to them. So these are some of the things that occur when asking does not take place.
Excellent. So we can really see, let's see how well we did. I put some ideas on the board. We've got the burglary, the rape, murder, distrust, suspicion, taking by force, war, kidnapping, inflation, payoffs, accidents, hijacking, vandalism, ID theft, embezzlement, prison and jail sentences, and higher prices. So you can see the consequences is very wide and varied, and it affects all of society just because people haven't learned the importance of asking related to a positive character development. So it's very important that we really try to get this concept in our mind and teach it, role model it for others, because that is the key. Now tell me, how many of you have ever had someone touch something that you owned and they didn't ask first? How did you feel? Every hand's up. How did it make you feel when that occurred? Yes?
This occurred recently, and I got angry, and I was upset, and that's how I felt.
Yes, you can get very angry. You can get very upset. What are some other feelings? Yes, over there.
And you kind of lose trust with that
Yes,
person.
that's right. That distrust, that suspicion comes in. You feel very hurt. Yes. It can really hurt your feelings to be afraid. You certainly don't want to let them borrow it again or take anything of yours again. Violated. Excellent.
Recently, somebody took my phone and they started going through my address book, and I thought it was kind of disrespected and violated.
Yes, on our phones. How many can feel very violated for someone to just go and pick up your phone? I mean, that's a very private thing, and to be going through your address list. I can share a story with you. When I was younger, I was like 16 years old, and all my life growing up, I had a stuffed animal collection. I just loved stuffed animals. I don't know why. My bed was lined with them. They just were in my room. I took great care of them. So I had to go on a trip, and I was gone for 6 months. And when I came back, every single stuffed animal was gone. And it wasn't that they couldn't have asked, oh, by the way, we're cleaning the house. Do you mind if we get rid of all your stuffed animals? But I can remember coming back and thinking, I cried. I did. I cried. It was like, how could you just take all my things like that and throw them out? And they did. They threw them out. It wasn't even here, we'll give them to the neighbors, or they threw them away. It was just, I was crushed by that. So you can see how it can really hurt to have somebody not ask when it regards your belongings or someone else's. So these are basic principles in the Peaceful Solution Character Education Program that we want to continue to cultivate in our minds as we go through this webinar. And I want to ask another quiz, okay, before and after. Here we go. So why is asking important? Why is asking important in our lives, and how does it relate to character development?
I would say even as adults, if we don't ask children, we can make them feel very intimidated. And when we do that to them, they carry that on to siblings or even to their friends. And it takes their character, and we don't teach them how to do the asking, so therefore they don't continue the pattern in the right way.
Excellent. And again, that gets back to our example. If we ourselves are not setting that example ourselves, it's not a do as I do or do as I say, but don't do as I do. We need to do as I do. That's the part we want to focus on. Yes.
You know, and I think about, I know so many people who, they want a better world, and they look out at the world and they don't know where to start. It's so messed up in so many ways. There's so many things that need addressing. And so instead of obsessing over that, I always take the stance that if I just start with me, then maybe, you know, if we all just started with us, we would have that. And
Excellent.
So I think that's the best answer to that question for me.
Nice. And that's a great point she brought up, because it does begin with us. You're going to learn in the Peaceful Solution Character Education Program that you can only change yourself. You may influence someone else, but you are still only responsible for changing yourself, even with our own children. We can influence them, we can guide them, but everyone is ultimately responsible for their own choices. I saw a hand over here.
Well, I wanted to bring up a situation that had taken place where there was a man that had somebody stealing from him, and he, instead of getting upset and calling the police, he said, if you would have only asked, if you were hungry and you needed more, if you would have only asked. So we asked to get our needs met, and then that would prevent crime.
There you go. And that's what a lot of the prisoners say when they begin learning about the peaceful solution. Nobody ever taught me this basic concept of ownership. I didn't know that I couldn't just take something. You know, I thought 5-finger discount meant I can take anything I want. Right? Yes.
I learned from Peaceful Solution that if I ask, I will avoid a conflict.
Excellent. And it does. Asking helps avoid conflict. every single time. Because how can you argue? You know a thief isn't really going to go and say, may I rob you? If you put yourself in a position where you think, okay, I'm going to ask before I do this, and if you know it would be absurd to do it, you know it's a wrong choice. And that helps people to make a better choice. Yes, over here.
I just want to say, too, that asking is a moral choice.
Yes.
It separates right from wrong. And so if we want to make the world a better place, then we always make the right choice, which is to ask.
To ask. That is a right choice to ask. That's a great way to leave it right there. So I encourage you, this is only day 2. We have many more days to go. Please continue to come to these classes. You will benefit so much. It does really change the heart and mind of an individual. You did great on your quizzes. You passed them all. I encourage you to go to our website, www.peacefulsolution.org. We have an 888-613-9494 that you can call and get more information. But please continue to train with this program. It is proven and effective. It really does work. I thank you for your time. Give yourselves a clap.